Hello there all you beautiful people and welcome to this game review of Dread Nautical. Today we take a look at a turn-based roguelite RPG and try to find out if this mix of all of this is enough to get this ship back to port. I'm Dan and I think it's time to try out our sea legs by watching the intro.
Yes. There you are, oblivious, drifting through the Atlantic. You know not what awaits you, gifted one. You know not what drew you to this ship to begin with. You ponder the voice in your head. Like these other foolish mortals hear it as well. I assure you, they do not, nor are they necessary. Their reality will not miss them. Their reality will soon be no more. Welcome to my realm, child. A realm of darkness. A realm of despair. A realm of dread.
So how about that intro? So the initial setup of this game is, if you follow along with the intro, that we wake up on the ship, and depending on which of the characters you pick, you are now prepared to start your journey. The four initial characters have different characteristics, like better at combat, easier to persuade survivors to join your cause. I have no stats for this statement, but considering the early info, I would guess most people pick the Dick Tracy looking dude, or that can fight, or perhaps even the Yakuza one.
I have not seen your type before. Oh, good.
So, waking up from your slumber, you slowly get a grasp of that something bad has happened. You find this handsome person that explains the basic setup of the game. I think they have a pretty funny movement pattern during dialogues, but considering it's an indie game and they have added voiceovers, I think we can live with their quirky little behavior, don't you think?
Well, let's just say I love shooting zombies in video games. But this ain't no game, and it sure ain't no fun.
Zombies? Literally?
No, but something like that. Alls I know is passengers started going nuts, attacking each other.
So, this room is where you have your so-called base, and every time you ring a foghorn in the end of the ship, you are returned here. I'll explain more about that later. I know right about now that you are eager to see more combat and exploration. And in case you missed the intro, this game is turn-based, but that is most apparent when you're into tactical fighting mode. When you are not, you can move freely and scavenge for items, food, scraps and runes. Your first challenge is that when you start with only 3 inventory slots and no other way to store things. Of course you can upgrade that later in the game, but it becomes apparent and limiting sometimes when you find healing, good weapons, and you have to exchange items back and forth and leave some behind. Controls feels easy to handle. Food is needed between every turn when you're back from the foghorn thing, since your survivors get hungry. I think gets downhill fast if you don't keep them fed. So, let's dive into the combat. And I would like to remind you that this is not like XCOM, so some of the tactical things you might expect are not here. This is more of a close combat turn-based game, and since we are on a boat, that feels pretty okay. But you have your action points to spend, and sometimes they feel a bit high compared to other games in terms of being able to move and attack on the same turn. Often you have to move close and end turn and then wait, and then attack. Your weapons break down a little bit after every attack and can only be repaired back at HQ. So it's a balance between what weapon you want to use or not. You don't want to fist fight your way through the levels, but the game is set on 20 floors with different enemies and survivors. In the beginning, it's mostly broomstick, pipes, broken bottles and pistols. Your survivors have special skills like finding hidden objects or plus bonus on next range or melee attack. Survivors. Let's have a chat about the survivors element of the game. You would think that being trapped on a boat with an alien type of monster around would make most people gladly team up with others to be able to survive, but not these people. No, 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 no. They often send you out on missions before even considering to join you, and dialogue with them highly affects your chance of getting them on board on your team. It's a pretty time-consuming element of the game where if you are looking to go kick some alien ass, you have to go back and forth many times. But I guess it's a path that developers picked, so you would not just run through level upon level and consider the game too short.
You couldn't have prevented this.
You don't understand. I have a sense for these things. Always have. But I couldn't see this coming. I just don't feel like myself.
So what is HQ for? As you progress through the game, you have to build beds for your survivors and also stations to create healing items and other stuff. I thought I would give you a quick look at the crafting station. I love that word, makes me think of Metro series and the Plague Tale Innocence. Anyway, here you can, for example, upgrade your weapons and also repair them. The more material you put in, the higher the chance of making the repair. So if you fancy some gambling on the boat, this is the place to go.
Nice.
Alright, after this, maybe your biggest question is, should you buy this game? My thought on this is like this. If you dig the art style and the goofy characters, the stress of feeding your survivors and remembering to equip weapon and bandages before every run, then yes, this is a game for you. There are not a ton of different variations of the floors, and perhaps in the next patch they even might balance out the walking and fighting. The difficulty is raised by new monsters on every level, so you know when you find a new one that it will hurt a lot. But it's a good effort from the developers, and I think if I ever start using a rating system, this would be a 3 out of 5. Anyway, I am Dan, and it's been a pleasure showing you this game. I do good gameplay, let's play and reviews of indie games on my channel, so if you like that, I suggest you leave a comment, or how about you hit that subscribe button. I'll leave a link to the game's webpage in the description below, and remember, as always, to stay awesome.
How can I repay such kindness?
I'm hungry.